Europe. This year's Spring Festival saw huge amounts spent in China as people celebrated in record-breaking style. China's box office raked in a record $1.3 billion over the Lunar New Year. That's a rise of nearly 20% from the previous year. It was a homegrown success, with the top of the charts dominated by domestic productions. Nil Cha 2 earned a record $523 million, followed by Detective Chinatown 1900 and The Creation of the Gods 2, Demon Force. Tourism revenue from the 8-day holiday saw a jump of nearly $100 billion. That's a year-on-year increase of 7%. Cross-border trips in and out of China increased by 6.3% from the same period last year, with a significant increase in foreign tourists arriving as Beijing eased restrictions on international travel. Chen Jiahe is Chief Investment Officer at Novem Arcae Technologies.
Well, when we look at this Spring Festival, we saw a very large increase in the consumption. I mean, if you look at many sub-sectors, for example, for the film market, the box office revenue in China has actually set the record. It broke its own record and reached over 10 billion RMB, which is the highest level ever in history. And if you go to the shopping malls, you can just feel the crowds. I mean, there are so many reasons behind this. I mean, first of all, China's consumption is growing. It's a lot of foreigners coming into visiting China, which boosted China's consumption as well. I mean, if you have been knowing that China's government has set out a lot of visa-free policies for many citizens around the world, so you can just come over to China and enjoy a holiday for 30 days without applying for a visa at all. So this attracted a lot of foreign tourists, which boosted China's consumption. And also one of the reasons is that China's government has been putting a lot of stimulation plans to help the consumption. For example, we reduce the mortgage rate paid by people so that they bear less cost for their mortgage, which means they will get more money for consumption expenditures. Quite a lot of policies given out. So all these things really help the consumption during this Spring Festival.
I mean, the interesting thing is that confidence among shoppers around the world seems to be in rather short supply. I mean, what do you think are the factors in driving this surge in consumer spending?
Well, if you look at China, China is an economy that is still growing at about 5% per year, and that's amid the negative impact of the housing market. I mean, China's housing market hasn't been good for like 3 or 4 years. And amid this, China's economy is still growing at 5%, which tells you that beside the housing market, you get the growth rate among many sectors at about 6 or even 7% growth. And that helps the consumption, which is the reason why China's consumption is increasing. I mean, if you look at the income of the Chinese people, they are increasing at about 5 or 6% per year. The pension is increasing by about 5% every single year. Just sit there and the government gives you more money. So with all this increasing in the GDP and the income, Chinese people just get more and more money to spend. I mean, after all, we are still a developing country. We're having a per capita GDP of about 13,000 USD. That's about 1/4 of the level of countries like Germany or France. So that means we've got a large room to develop, and that's why we've got a very high growth rate.
I want to talk to you about travel because, I mean, clearly holidays all around the world are no longer viewed as luxuries. We view them working very, very hard as essential. You just look at these travel figures for China, 2.3 billion passenger trips made during this holiday. I mean, clearly travel demand has rebounded considerably.
Yes, I mean, that's a sign. I mean, this year there are many people traveling. I mean, one of the reasons that so many people are traveling is that Chinese people got the tradition to go back to their hometown during the Spring Festival, which is a pretty long holiday. I mean, this year the holiday is particularly long, it got 8 days. And I actually know that many people just put 3 more working days there, and you can get an extra weekend, which means about 13 days holiday. So it's a lot of people are just going back to their hometown, which is a tradition. And this increased a lot of traveling. And the second thing is that many Chinese people are nowadays using this kind of long holiday to have a trip to other countries. Like one of my friends is speaking to me from Egypt today, and she took like a 7 or 8 days trip to there. So it's quite a lot of Chinese people going out, and many people come into China as well. So all these things just boosted the traveling in China.